We were the state color guard for the whole state of Ohio for like 24 years. We're together to take care of our vets. We have a mixture. I'm Air Force. We got Air Force people. We got guys. One guy's on the sub. We got guys that are medics. Vietnam. We got Army. We got Marine Corps. At half step, forward, march.
It's our honor to do them. We feel in our heart they're entitled to the services that we perform.
Colors, prepare to post.
It's a brotherhood. Under arms, it's a different world that if you haven't served, I don't really think you can understand.
And where we go, you will always know that those caissons are rolling along.
Forward, march. And all of us fought for the country, and so it's something for us that we do, for our fighting men.
They served their country a lot of times when it wasn't popular to serve.
Crazy.
But the men and women stood up and, as they say, wrote a check for anything up to and possibly including their life.
We few, we happy few, we band of brothers.
For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother.
Honor guard captain, you'll fire 3 volleys in honor of our departed comrade.
Aim! Fire! Ready! Aim! Fire! Ready! Aim! Fire!
It's the most important thing that we do, honoring our fallen veterans.
On behalf of the office of the President of the United States, the Department of the Air Force, and a grateful nation, it is my privilege.
Ceremonial parade pass!
These 3 spent shell casings symbolize the rifle salute that we have just performed, which is the highest honor we can bestow upon a member of our military.
It's about what we can do to provide final military honors to our brothers in arms.
It's our privilege to do it. It's our privilege to do it. We're sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
So exciting, there's always something to do.
Angela Mazzarelli is living the good life in downtown Cleveland. This 27-year-old career woman has worked hard to get where she is. Although she'll be the first to tell you, she hasn't worked nearly as hard saving for her future.
Right now, it feels like I have time to put it off.
Financial experts say 20-somethings like Angela tend to make the same money mistakes. One of their biggest blunders, not mapping out a financial plan once they start working.
It's vital because life is full of surprises.
Erica Aber from Sparrow Smith, a fee-based advisory firm in Beechwood, says young people who stick to a budget that includes saving 10 to 13% of their salary will find financial success easier in life than those who don't.
It's all about the power of compounding. The earlier you start, the more that you'll have in the end.
In other words, start saving now and you won't have to save nearly as much in the future. Consider this. Money blog Get Rich Slowly says a 24-year-old who socks away $574 a month until the age of 65 will have a whopping $1,932,528 at retirement. But wait 10 years until the age of 34, and that same person will have to save more than $1,300 a month or close to $16,000 a year to reach the same goal.
In your 20s is when your money can work the longest for you.
Aber says living on credit cards is another mistake of those who are just starting out. Maintain a $2,000 balance at an annual percentage rate of 17%, and you'll lose more than $166 every month in interest alone.
You need to set a budget and live within your means.
That also means finding money in your budget to start an emergency fund. Financial experts like Aber recommend having at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses in the bank in case you lose your job or get hit with an unexpected expense. Angela says she's got that one covered. It's the rest of her financial future she now plans to keep her eye on.
I would love to just sit on a beach when I'm older and have enough money to do that, but right now I need to put in my work and save up enough money so I can actually have that lifestyle.
Love bike riding.
Cecil Lipscomb is a competitor. Whether in business or in life, he sets goals. He pushes hard. Experience is his teacher.
I often think about not having the right people around me at that time.
Financial success is always on this 43-year-old's mind. As executive director of the United Black Fund of Greater Cleveland, Lipscomb's committed to helping others become financially literate while learning a few lessons of his own. And sometimes, moving forward means looking backward, learning from the mistakes of his 30s.
Retirement then, at that time, seemed far away. It really did.
Financial experts say 30-somethings like Cecil almost always make the same money mistakes. The most common, buying cars, homes, and anything else they've ever wanted.
In their 30s, they're trying to acquire what we call the material gifts of life.
J. Bernard Crew, an asset manager and founder of Nirvana Analytics, has counseled clients like Lipscomb through the decades of their lives. He says typically when 30-year-olds save for the bigger things, like a home, they forget about the smaller things they can't live without, like furniture, landscaping, and cars. That is when desire begins looking like debt, and for some, it can be inescapable.
If you miss a payment now, you have a starter rate of 7-8%. That rate can go as high as the high 20s, and then it becomes very difficult to reduce that debt.
Lipscomb says his biggest regret is tapping into his 401k, which financial experts say is another common money mistake that jeopardizes a person's retirement.
Now, when I look back, taking a tax hit on money and then paying an additional fee on top of that, it's just not smart.
Early 30s, you think you have time. Late 30s, you realize you're running out of time.
Crew says it's also common for 30-year-olds to put their kids' college funds ahead of their own retirements. Even worse, they sometimes ignore their future finances altogether.
Begin, no matter what or how small that amount is, get that discipline incorporated into your process.
Lipscomb says his best advice for anyone planning to retire one day: get an accountant to keep track of your money at tax time, a financial expert to invest it, and don't forget to pay yourself.
Thankfully, I am better off today than I was then. I'm not where I want to be.
The world can be an uncertain place, despite our best efforts to be fully informed. That's especially true when it comes to personal finance. Just ask 46-year-old Kelly Drum.
I really wasn't saving very well when I was younger.
Like a lot of people in their 20s, Kelly thought she had plenty of time to build a nest egg and missed out on the opportunity that comes with growing money over time. And is typical of people in their 30s. She started accumulating debt, although in large part because she'd been laid off.
I really just did not save enough in my 20s and 30s, and that I probably regret the most.
But Kelly's biggest financial mistake is the same one financial experts say most people make when they're in their 40s. She tapped into her retirement funds to invest in something else. Some people second mortgage their homes to pay for their children's educations. Or they buy bigger houses while stretching the new payments over another 30 years in order to make the debt more affordable. Kelly says she and her husband cashed in their 401k so he could start a business while being a stay-at-home dad.
I know that that's going to have repercussions when we retire.
Using their retirement money not only wiped out all the advantages that come with compounding, the couple also suffered further losses because they had to pay interest and a penalty which is required by law.
So it was a gamble that we took.
At the end of the day, your lifestyle should be determined by your cash flow. How much is actually coming in? What can you afford to pay for?
Zarka Financial, this is Christine. How may I help you?
Les Zarka, a certified financial planner from North Olmsted, has spent 32 years helping clients repair the mistakes of their pasts. He says a lot of Americans are living beyond their means by the time they're 40. Even worse, their budgets are based on best-case scenarios.
As long as they're both working and there's cash flow coming in, they can survive. But what happens if one of them loses their job or they take a substantial pay cut? If they don't have enough savings to fall back on, the whole house of cards collapses on them.
Kelly says she got her finances back on track when she went to work at Zarka Financial as a marketing director. She says exposure to the advice she heard made her realize it wasn't too late to turn her own situation around.
Obviously, the sooner you start saving, the more money you end up with, and then there's less effort.
Although the business Kelly's husband started is doing great, she admits she's working harder to make up for the money mistakes of the past, saving 3 times as much as would have been required had she begun in her 20s, and had she not touched her savings just as she was entering her 40s.
I feel like we've recovered. If I were to go back and do it again, I don't know if we would have gone that route.
Creating financial success is like making great pizza. Every chef has their own recipe, but without hard work and commitment, there's no payoff.
I do love this business.
Phil Pamphilis has earned a reputation for making one of Cleveland's best pies as the owner of Papa Nick's on Clifton Boulevard.
Papa Nick's, can I help you?
And yet, at the age of 56, he's still chasing that pot of gold called retirement. In part, he says, because RTA's year-long construction project has nearly destroyed everything he's worked for.
You've got to really want to get here. It's very challenging getting here. In order to maintain it a few times, I had to go into my investments and bail the place out. If you're downtown, everybody's on lunch.
Phil admits he's gambling on the future, certain the neighborhood will come back, and along with it, his customers. He'll also tell you he's miscalculated a few investments.
Being an entrepreneur, self-employed, I looked at them as risks.
Financial experts say it's common for people who are in their 50s, like Phil, to make the same money mistakes. For instance, they forget to keep their eye on their portfolios as retirement nears.
That's kind of your home stretch for retirement. You're not retired yet, you still got some time, and it's early enough that if you make the right changes now, you can really move the needle.
Alex Manassa, a senior financial planner with Zarka Financial in North Olmsted, says salvaging what's left of a damaged financial future begins with a plan. Figure out what you have, how much you'll need to retire, and what it will take to reach those goals.
When you turn 50, the IRS lets you put extra money into your retirement accounts. They're called catch-up contributions.
Right now, the Internal Revenue Service will allow anyone 50 and over to contribute an extra $1,000 to a traditional IRA, allowing them a $6,500 deduction when younger taxpayers are limited to $5,500. 50-somethings can also stash an additional $5,500 on top of the standard $17,500 contribution allowed in a 401k.
I would say most people don't even know about the catch-ups and don't come close to putting away the maximum that they can.
Phil knows he has some catching up to do, and he's certain if he hangs on at the corner of Clifton and West 115th just a little bit longer, the neighborhood renaissance on which he's counting will finally pay off.
The fact that I'm still able to do it at this point in my life, I'm thankful for that.
That away. Push. Come on, squeeze it.
Norm Talbot builds bodies. He builds cars. And he's built an award-winning reputation for the work that's coming out of Dunham Auto Body, the Maple Heights business he founded back in the 70s. But building an investment portfolio, That's an art this 72-year-old private fitness trainer and design engineer says he never mastered, especially as his retirement years began approaching.
Yeah, I was starting to worry about it a little bit in my 60s.
Norm admits he, like most people, didn't think much about retirement in his 20s or 30s. And then he says he made a series of financial blunders in his 40s and 50s. Hoping to make up that lost financial ground, he gambled what was left of his retirement savings and bought a pizza franchise that did well until the economy tanked in 2008.
It just never went anywhere. You know, it kept sucking money.
Norm made one of the more common money mistakes financial experts say people tend to make when they're in their 60s. He failed to understand the risk he was taking with his retirement funds.
I didn't even think about the risk. All I thought was I was going to make money at it.
Here's what you also need to remember about risk, whether you're starting your own business or investing in your retirement. Not all risk is bad. That's why you need to pay attention to how it's working for you.
Don't get too conservative too soon.
Matt Over, a certified financial planner from Spiro Smith, a fee-based advisory firm in Beechwood, says every year the money we save buys less, about 3% less thanks to inflation.
A lot of times people invest too conservatively early on, and they think I can't afford to take that risk and put it into CDs or something that's only earning them 1-2%.
Over says people nearing retirement also tend to miscalculate the cost of their golden years.
The biggest mistake people make in their 60s is not really thinking about what they're going to spend in retirement.
Hobbies like golf aren't cheap. Neither is travel. Cars break down, and the price of groceries goes up. Over says that's why it's important people in their 60s understand the kind of risk they're taking to better increase the odds it will pay off.
One more. Come on, drive it hard.
It's a reality check Norm Talbot says he wishes someone would have shared with him a long time ago.
It was a rude awakening, and it's just tough to get up every morning and know you're going to have to work until you can't.
Because he drew this picture of me.
Pam Brown holds up a picture drawn by her uncle J.R., known to others as Junior, legally as Henry Newell. She talks about their close relationship.
He bought me a car.
Then she describes the other side of Junior.
I love him dearly, but he was a mean person.
A story Uncle J.R. told her at 16 cemented that.
You remember when you was little and you always heard about the Christy Mullins girl?
Junior told police he found Christy's beaten body.
What I'm going to tell you might shock you. You know, and I'm like, okay. And he said that he did kill her.
Pam says Junior laid out the horrific details. They were neighbors. Christy was sitting on the guardrail. They talked and went back in the woods. Junior said he made a move and Christy fought back.
At that point, he said he tied her up, and then he said that she wouldn't stop screaming. So he picked up a 2x4 and just started bashing her on her head with it.
He claims he ran back to the house where his wife and Pam's parents were.
He got my Aunt Pam and my dad, who was asleep with my mom at the time, for them all to go down with him and tell him that they found the body while they were hiking.
Pam's mom wouldn't go on camera, but says she saw blood on Junior's shirt and, like most family members, believes Junior did it.
He proceeded to tell me that he had blamed it on one of his drinking buddies because he was an easy target.
A mentally challenged man named Jack Carmen. He was charged but later acquitted. Pam says the murder was an open secret in the family. No one came forward for fear of the repercussions, herself included.
He wasn't somebody to cross.
But she never doubted her Uncle J.R.'s account of what happened that day in the woods.
Do I believe that he killed that girl? 100%.
Pam regrets keeping her silence so long.
I just want the Mullins family to know that, you know, I held it in for many years. I regret that, by all means. I would like to see them get closure, more than anything.
Turn these up for me and then turn the overheads off.
In just a few minutes, it's lights, camera, action.
You guys want to run through?
That'd be outstanding.
But there is nothing Hollywood about this production.
Hello, I'm Commander Bob Meter of the Columbus Division of Police Property Crimes Bureau.
Columbus police are turning to the criminals they catch for a little intel.
These are the people that actually committed the burglaries. That's why we're here.
My name is Joel David Hamlin. My number is 527-257.
Inmate Joel Hamlin volunteered for CPD's newest video project. At 37 years old, he has spent more than half of his life in and out of a prison or jail cell, doing one thing: breaking into hundreds of homes and cars.
But yeah, if you're knocking and a dog starts barking, we're moving on to the next place.
That's just one of the few things Joel says will stop a burglar like him from entering your home. But he says his experience has shown homeowners often make the same several mistakes over and over again, starting with an alarm sticker for a system you don't have.
We're going to get in there still because we're going to know that's fake. You know, you can see wires where it's wired up for sounds. But when you go and you open the door or whatever and then you back off and you wait, no alarms ever went off, nobody ever came, then you go on in.
Would you do a surveillance? Would you kind of watch the place for a while, pick up habits?
Detectives with CPD's burglary unit found out from Joel that mistake number 2 starts in your garage.
You leave your purse, your keys, everything in the ignition. Just go in there, get in the car, I get your purse, I get the keys, I go right to the back door, open up, you're in there asleep. While you're there, walk right in and steal whatever. You're in there asleep.
It's a frightening thought, which is why Commander Bob Meter says his team spent months interviewing several convicted burglars at Ohio prisons. With the help of the Prison News Network, this video project will debut soon on CPD's YouTube channel.
This time we're actually going to be able to see how many people are watching this video. And the nice thing is that this is for the city of Columbus, but this will work in any jurisdiction on the World Wide Web.
3 other mistakes burglars like Joel say homeowners make: leaving your valuables in plain sight, which tells them there's more to take inside. And this. Do you ever leave the TV on while you're out? Joel says that's just a myth for preventing a break-in.
If nobody's there and we knock, nobody ever answers, then you just go on in.
And the biggest mistake of all, unlocked doors.
Does it surprise you that when you checked some of these homes that the front door was unlocked?
Yeah, it really surprises me. I mean, it don't surprise me because I'm so used to it, but at first it was like, wow, this is open.
So what will stop a burglar? Joel says noise. And it could be something as simple as this. A doorstop, where a burglar has to make too much noise to get in.
That's very true. That's true. We want to be as quiet as we can. We don't want to draw no attention to us if we're doing it.
Columbus police say they hope this intel will have you taking simple steps now to protect you and your family later. For Crime Tracker 10, Angela Ann, 10 TV News.
Well, new at 6, what began as a joke became a man's last wish, and today it led to a funeral like no other. 10 TV's Glenn McIntyre witnessed this unforgettable farewell, but first a little warning here. The story contains images that may be upsetting to some viewers.
Bill Stanley was no ordinary man.
What you would call a twist of color on the tweed surface of life.
He left home at 13 to work cattle ranches out west, eventually traveling to 49 of the 50 states. He settled down long enough to raise a family, but never lost his passion for the road. His daughter says that's why his 1967 Harley meant so much to him.
Freedom. He could go anywhere on that bike he wanted to. My dad was a man that had the wanderlust.
It was 18 years ago, while discussing who would get his prized possession, that an idea intended as a joke took root.
He said, what am I supposed to do? I got 2 boys, 1 bike. My sister just offhandedly said, oh, Dad, just be buried with it. I think about 2 weeks after that, it really hit him. What a great idea. And we all was just like, Dad. And he goes, no, that's how I'm going out. And we still thought he was kidding. 18 years later, guess what?
Work to make Bill's final wish a reality began 6 years ago. He and his sons built the large plexiglass casket to hold him and his Harley, and he bought 3 burial plots next to his wife.
As you know, Bill was a rodeo cowboy.
Today in Mechanicsburg, mourners gathered.
It's interesting. Speechless.
And gazed.
He's going out in style. Gonna be hard to top this one.
At a man where he was happiest.
Obviously, he did it his way, didn't he?
Bill Stanley, as he wanted to be remembered and be buried on his beloved Harley.
It's not for everyone, but hey, that's what he wanted.
When you give somebody their last wishes, why be sad?
His friends and family joining him for one final ride. A remarkable sight, an extraordinary send-off.
That's the true Easy Rider right there, that guy right there.
They placed a ring upon his door, and soon they'll carry him away.
Odd but fitting, offbeat but heartfelt, and his family says just how Bill would have wanted it.
We had ever asked Dad anything in our lifetime, in his lifetime, something special, Dad would do his best to do it for us. So this was all we could do for him. Some people walk through the pearly gates, some ride.
Glenn McIntyre, 10 TV News.
Some ride. Bill Stanley was 82 years old. He leaves behind 4 children, 9 grandchildren, and 21 great-grandchildren.
Their stories are everywhere.
I'll never forget that feeling that day of being told that. You know, it's just, you feel like you got hit by a bat.
Breast cancer survivors and the path it took to get them to this point.
I had 3 teenage sons, and I wanted to live for them.
For so many, it began with a mammogram.
I'd gone to my regular doctor the day before, and she said, "You're due for a mammogram." So I came up to the office, asked them for the next earliest appointment. They had a cancellation the next morning, and I took it. And that was in November of last year.
Mindy Bondi, a woman who knew she had a strong family history of breast cancer, made it a habit to go for her yearly check. A biopsy just before Christmas confirmed what the doctor already suspected from the pictures. Mindy had cancer, stage 2. It had spread to her lymph nodes.
I'm in a club I never wanted to belong to.
And it's a pretty big club. Last year, more than 230,000 new cases were diagnosed. Julie Everett is a member too.
July 26, 2011. You don't forget those dates.
Julie was stage 3. Chemo took her hair, but not her good attitude. Her 4-year-old granddaughter had a lot to do with that as well. Now, 3 years later, Julie is all about spreading the word. This is a disease you can beat.
And so I wanted to give that word hope to a lot of other women who are going through this, who may be in different various stages of being diagnosed with breast cancer. And, you know, looking at somebody saying, you know, take a breath, you know, we're going to get through this, and, you know, I can see where I may be going someday. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be confident, feeling good, in living a very full and a life again, you know, without always thinking about breast cancer. It's not what I think about all the time anymore.
Yet so many women don't take the step which gives them the best chance of beating breast cancer.
We're going to start with your right side.
It's not a perfect tool, but it's the best tool we have.
Dr. Donna Plecha is the director of breast imaging at University Hospital Seidman Cancer Center.
Women tend to spend more time in the store shopping for clothes, more time getting their hair done, more time getting their nails done. Mammogram takes a small amount of time, it's not very painful, and it may save your life.
Some women avoid it because they're afraid it's going to be too painful. That is a myth which has been greatly exaggerated. This patient at UH graciously allowed us in the room to show how simple it really is.
Breathe normally for me.
As her breast is compressed, the machine takes its pictures.
And right now, hold your breath, stop breathing.
Then for a couple seconds, you hold your breath.
Terrific.
And it's done. No reason not to come get checked regularly.
I'm just going to ask you again, so you come regularly?
I do, yearly.
And never found a problem?
Fortunately, never found a problem.
But other people you know?
I have friends that have had problems and they're doing fine, but still makes me concerned that I should check regularly, so I do.
You were saying it's better to know.
I'd much rather know than be surprised when it's too late.
The mammogram itself takes minutes, but you can't rely on that alone. It needs to go hand in hand, literally, with a self-breast check. Jerry Ayers is another survivor who found the lump herself.
There's that little red bulb that goes off in your brain.
Jerry went to her doctor, and he told her not to worry.
He said I should be more concerned about my grocery bill than the lump.
But she pushed and wound up needing a double mastectomy. That was 29 years ago.
Now, had I waited, I probably would not be here today.
Jerry offered some fairly frank advice when it comes to mammograms.
It's better to hurt than to have it off.
The message from these survivors is the same.
There is hope, and we are making progress, and you can survive this and move forward.
In Cleveland, Stacey Fry, Fox 8 News.